Hey everyone, it's Anthony Allen Ramos. All right, Kristen Kish is heading out of the kitchen and going all over the world in a brand new Nat Geo series. It's called Restaurants at the End of the World. It starts March 21st and it's also going to be streaming on Disney Plus. Kristen, how are you?
I'm very good. I'm very good. Nice to see you.
So this is so cool. I'm lucky and have gotten to see some of it. You literally are, of course, cooking in a restaurant kitchen or on one of your other shows is one thing, but you're going to all parts of the earth, and it's not easy, and it's really exciting to see. And I love that you're getting to meet these really great people and hear their stories. How cool was it to get to have this opportunity? Because I kind of feel like it's like the dream gig to get.
I mean, on paper, it certainly is. And it definitely is when you go out there and you're living it yourself. It is an incredibly personal and professional, challenging journey. One that I think I always wanted for my life, but it wasn't until now, and National Geographic helping me live it. But the greatest thing, you said it, going to see these people, learn who they are and how they do what they do in the circumstances and environments that they're in is just, I mean, anyone would be curious, I think, to know what that takes.
Yeah, and it's like one of those situations where, like, I'm thinking about when you go in the first episode, it's literally like a remote location and you're actually getting in there with these folks, catching the fish, finding, the spice, getting in the mud. Like it looks fun, but I would imagine it probably was a bit more physical than you even were imagining.
I am always up for an adventure, and I'm always up for doing something very different. Doing the things that I did, rappelling down a waterfall and, swimming near polar bears, all that stuff in the Arctic. One of the hardest things, though, Anthony, I gotta tell you, was challenging my cardiovascular health, trying to hike to these places. I'm like, I haven't done this kind of walking in a really long time. Like that is exercising my lungs and my muscles in a way that haven't been touched in a very long time. But that was, off camera, there was a lot of hiking to different places and getting back to the top of the waterfall in order to go back down it again for the second and third time. Oh my God. I was like, if this is the hardest, like, how is this the hardest thing? But it was, it was. And that and the mosquitoes
Yeah.
drove me nuts.
So I know, because, to give people a preview, we're talking about Panama, Brazil, Norway. I mean, do you have a thought on what was the most challenging or the most fun or the most surprising? Because, I haven't been to any of those places.
I think the beauty of being able to go to these places, the places that you just mentioned, like we're going to these places, but then we're going like 10 more steps outside of like the main cities that we hear of or the places that are easier to get to. And I think the most surprising part a lot of times is that middle journey that's happening, not even necessarily on camera. It's spending the time with these people when cameras aren't there, or on our, my one day off, or it's the journey from getting from Sao Paulo airport to Parachi, which is a 4.5 hour, very bumpy bus ride through like these narrow, tiny, winding roads. That was like, oh my God. So the adventure started like long before cameras started rolling. And for me, that was setting up a lot of excitement, nervousness, anticipation. But all of it was a happy surprise.
I love that. Did your wife get to come with you to any of these locations? Because it would be kind of fun to be the plus one, because then you can the spot and not like have to rappel down the waterfall.
She came on 2.5 of them. So she's obviously in all my travels, television or not television. The invitation obviously for her always stands. And so she got to pick which one she was able to go on and fit into her schedule. So she went to Norway, Brazil, and half of Turner Farm in Maine.
Wow. What was her vibe? Did she like, the places as much as you?
She did. So she is the greatest person. I feel like I've told you this every single time we've spoken. She's the most amazing person ever. And so to have her as just this layer of like comfort and calm, because sometimes I am not calm. She'd probably tell you that I'm never calm, but she brought this like sense of ease and calm to me, so then I could focus on actually what my job was instead of feeling like an anxiety, anxious ball of nerves or whatever. So for her, I think I will say her favorite was Brazil, Paraty in Brazil. She's warm weather, she's sunsets, she's like boats and water and that kind of stuff. So that was her vibe.
I love that because it's like I was thinking Brazil, Norway, Panama, and then we have Maine, which brings us
Right.
back to the US. But if you think about it, like Maine is kind of a place that not many people, when you think about United States, like, so what was it like to be in Maine? And, was that the lobster moment of it all? That's what I'm imagining.
Yes, it was. Yeah. To be quite frank, like we had to, by who the upper beings, we had to do one domestic location. And so, all these different ideas were floating around, Alaska and whatever. And Maine is the closest thing to home for me. Like I worked and lived in Boston for 10 years. It's very familiar. But to be able to explore in a way, even going to Rockland, which is where you have to catch the 1.5-hour ferry in order to get to the tiny little island, was a place that I've never been to before, much smaller than, say going to Portland or Kennebunkport or whatever. So it's always a nice surprise to know that places like that exist in your own backyard that are a little easier to get to, but still feel like you are on an adventure for yourself.
I love that. I know I need to get there. Let's talk about your restaurant also, of course, Austin, Texas. How is it going? I'm so glad that, thinking about the number of times that we have spoken, it's been levels that we were in the pandemic. Then it was like we were getting out of it. Now I feel like, thank goodness, I hope the restaurant is booming and back to normal and everything.
It is. The restaurant's going really well. We do dinner service 5 nights a week. It's proving to be incredibly healthy for everybody. I had there this weekend for South by Southwest, and it's going really, really well. So, I just encourage, and I hope that even with this show too, it's always nice to, be introduced to a new audience. So then, hopefully my team can reap the benefits of people wanting to come to the restaurant as well.
For sure. And we got to talk about Texas. At GLAAD, we're really focusing on a lot of what's happening in various states, LGBTQ rights being challenged, bills being brought forward. How has it been for you, obviously having a restaurant in Texas and to kind of see what's happening in that state and, with a lot of emphasis on certain people wanting to challenge our rights?
It is, I will say, out of all the places to open up a restaurant 5 years ago, I never in my wildest dreams would have chosen Texas. I gotta say though, there's always the bright spots and the bright people in every scenario in every state. And what I'm most proud of is, one, Austin is very much, the taglines keep Austin weird, and it is. It's this celebration of individuality and wanting to celebrate anyone and everybody in a really beautiful way. And my restaurant, which is something I feel incredibly proud of, is wildly diverse, from the queer community to who you are, where you come from, what you love, all the things that make you tick. We have a wide range of that. And so every day in the restaurant, that is celebrated. And I think sometimes I can get overwhelmed, like all of us, with like being incredibly, it's like, where do you even start, right? Like it's incredibly maddening, it's frustrating, all the garbage shit that's happening. But the things that we can control and find celebration are the things that are kind of right near us. And so if there's one thing that I can be is the gayest rainbow in Austin, Texas, and people coming to the restaurant and celebrating my people, it's, that's a proud moment. And to be able to look around being like, yeah, we're doing this and we're doing it the right way.
Thank you for sharing that. And, speaking of gayest rainbow, one of the things I was curious, have you, we're doing a lot of work at GLAAD to support our drag queens, our drag community.
Yes.
I'm sure you're aware. I would imagine you've probably been to a drag show or once or twice. Tell me why we need to, support our queens, why it's fun and it's not dangerous, all of the things.
Oh my God, where do you even start? Jesus, it is a form of celebration and entertainment and inclusivity. There's nothing wrong or bad, right? And I keep hearing this thing that's like, I don't know, someone like related it to, people or kids or whatever going to a drag show doesn't change who you are internally. And if that's the fear, that's absolutely absurd. I hung out with straight people all my life. I'm definitely not straight. So like, where does it make sense that it's going to influx and influence so many parts of these, whatever? It's obnoxious. Drag is a celebration. It is just pure joy and happiness. I can't think of anybody that's gone to a drag show willingly wanting to go to a drag show that has not had a permanent smile across their face. And it is just the most kind, inviting place for everybody. And that does not just mean the queer community, it's everyone. So I think it's, keep on going to the drag shows, keep on supporting those drag queens and like the amazing people. If there's anything I've become, oh my God, Anthony, I didn't tell you. So the production company for my show is World of Wonder, who is the curator and people of Drag Race.
That's the queer universe. I love that. Huge. That's so great.
Yes, yeah.
I love that. Well, listen, Kristen, I so appreciate the time and you sharing that. And I'm so excited for this show. Just a reminder, everyone, it's called Restaurants at the End of the World. Kristen is going all over the world and getting, like I said, amazing stories, learning so much, doing physical challenges, like we said. It's such a fun ride. And like I said, March 21st on Nat Geo, and then of course available the next day on Disney+. We're so excited. But Kristen, I need to make it to Austin and make it to the restaurant. I'm gonna put that on the list for this year. But thank you again. It's so good to see you.
Awesome, thank you.